Top right-hand side, we're going to have the teal and blue team. It's going to be souL and MaxPax. We start on our fluorescence once again, as in the bottom left is sOs and Maru. Reminder that these are 5 maps played, not best of 5, so all 5 maps will be played, no matter what. It's money 1 per map, and that's how this goes. So yeah, sOs and Maru 3-2 against Prince and DRG Ling. souL and MaxPax 2-3 against Prince and DRG Ling. Again, that basically just adds up to a difference in what these teams have won. So put it this way, I can actually tell you guys a little bit more about who's won what today. So Prince and DRG Ling will be leaving with what I believe is going to be a about $225 as the team, so about $112 each. I'll see if MaxPax, souL, Maru, or sOs will be able to extend their money won today with the wins in this series. Maru and sOs overall looked pretty good. I think so did, honestly. souL and MaxPax, they lost a game to a very unfortunate scout. Well, no. Maru and sOs lost again to the very unfortunate scout. MaxPax and souL's one-base attack just didn't do as much in general. What is kind of cool now is it's Terran Protoss against Terran Protoss, right? So both sides are kind of the same. And we'll see how that matches up and how that kind of plays, because obviously before it was ZP versus TP, now it's TP versus TP, and that is kind of cool. That kind of makes it so that everything that you do, has an impact, and your opponent, what they do, will be similar or different, and then that can change the game. It just maybe gives us a bit of an easier time to follow the game, because as well, then you can always kind of compare. Well, Protoss versus Protoss are doing this, Terran versus Terran are doing that. Overall, this works out better for these guys or something, sort of thing, right? It can just be a bit easier to kind of imagine where the game is at, whereas in ZP against TP, it was a little bit more complex. What are we going to do? Another Archon game soon? We might do an Archon tournament or something around Christmas. I usually do fun tournaments around Christmas time. So maybe around Christmas, but not 100% planned out, honestly, so far. Probably we'll do some at some point, but I wouldn't... there's so much Starcraft already planned for the next 2 or 3 months that there's actually just nothing new or interesting coming up super soon. Look at sOs. This is so cool. He puts his Stargates in his opponent's base, or in his teammate's base. This is so funky. Because if you scout the Protoss to try and figure out what the hell they're doing, now you're just going to be met with absolutely nothing. And then there's just going to be Phoenix building over here. MaxPax is building the singular Oracle, and that's not going to be looking too hot for him, because obviously multiple Phoenix coming through. That Oracle is pretty much just going to be a goner, as we'll see souL and MaxPax trying to team up together at the front, and hoping they can maybe make a bit of a play forward here. Good depths wanting to shade, as we do see some of these SCVs starting to go down. Well, Phoenix overhead, one of them going to lift up a Hellion to begin with, so it's actually quite a few SCVs and workers dying in general. 7 SCVs going down, and that's a pretty serious count. So MaxPax and souL actually able to do pretty well in terms of dealing some initial damage here. Don't think they could be all too upset about that at all. As Reaper is starting to head back a little bit, now actually goes up via the main base. Just going to hop in here and have a little scout around as well, just to check to see what's up and what's happening. Kind of go after a probe, but not much success just yet. Hellions will continue their way across to the upper right. Actually going to move these up into Halberds, so... Okay, now going to move them back down into Hellions. What's the final result, Maru? What we actually going to do with these? Run up into the Protoss base, which is not walled off. Oh, he doesn't like it, though. He wants to go elsewhere. He's going to go to the natural. Natural is empty. souL's natural has workers on it to be killed. So finally the Hellions find an opening to get some damage done. And this is going to be some really good counter pressure, as this just goes very well for the Maru sOs squad. So they took the earlier damage, but they bounce back and do decent damage themselves. They can't be too overly upset about that. Across the map, a drop here from souL is going to come in, and sOS's main base is going to be stopped from mining. So now you have probes don't really do much just yet. Marines are going to stand here. There is a Widow Mine underneath these Marines. Gotta remember that, because obviously you don't want to just run all your probes back in and be like, boom, a Widow Mine goes off. Widow Mine's going to go off here. Nope, Scan was there. Wow, so he scanned to allow for the Widow Mine to be picked up. Nice teamwork and coordination there. Going to work out and help sOS and Maru to clean this up with relative ease. I thought that Widow Mine was going to get to go off, but yeah, they knew about it, obviously, and they knew a good way to deal with it too, so credit to them, played that correctly. Uh-oh, now Phoenix kind of clashing into each other. We'll have a bit of a weird fight here. So a couple Cyclones to try and help support it. What are the numbers actually at, by the way? So it's 9 Phoenix against 9. sOS is down 11 workers and just down in supply in general, so it does look a bit better here with MaxPax and souls. They push through. Trying to get a little bit more damage done, taking this forward watchtower. Let's see if they want to continue forward and try and put on a little bit more damage. Let's see how far forward they will go. Widow Mine's going to unburrow, and for now, no major Widow Mine connections. Obviously, with Phoenix flying around, it's very possible Widow Mines could dictate the pacing of the game and kind of blow up a bunch of Phoenix and completely change everything. So that's something you've got to be somewhat cautious about. On either side, really. I mean, there's no Widow Mines really coming through from souL, but Maru is building plenty of them, so it's definitely a big concern for MaxPax. It's going to be very worrisome. It's going to fly in. It's going to be MaxPax taking a bit of a better fight to start. Widow Mines are around, but he's avoided the mines so far. Now a little bit of a Phoenix difference coming up. Mass mine of Maru continues to come through, and he's actually going to get on top of a lot of stuff there. As the Phoenix put some lifts out, I thought sOS might have been able to jump forward to do a little bit more, but apparently not. And sOS still the one taking a lot of the losses in amongst all of this. The other Widow Mines continue to burrow up, and we're just going to be seeing Maru still just playing kind of literally mass mines. And not much else is going to start walking them across the map to put the pressure on. souL does not have a lot of supply. sOS has a bit of a supply disadvantage over MaxPax, but Maru has a huge supply lead over souL. It's just the fact that it's in purely Widow Mine production, which is obviously a little bit crazy. And here comes the march of the Widow Mines across the map. Another couple burrow up. More Widow Mines going off. Let's complete another mayhem over here as siege tanks are being hit by mines, and that ain't something you see every day. As apparently souL and MaxPax just don't have the detection to deal with this aptly. They are really struggling much more than I thought they would. Did not think it was going to be such a problematic push. There's a Widow Mine attack, but yeah, like I say, working way better than you maybe could have imagined. Starting to see some of them cleaned up, but it's still coming at a cost. Like, they're still firing before they go down. Maru's still the one with the massive supply lead overall, but he's still just massing mines. So again, how much does that supply lead actually go towards, you know, properly ending the game or anything here? That's definitely still a reasonable question. Plenty more mines still on the way out across the map. We've still got mines running across. The tank is trying to run in here. Now a Viking is running over mines, and well, this tank gets sieged up. At least 2 Widow Mines are going to try and go in. Widow Mines are now blowing up other Widow Mines. The tank actually doesn't go down. Instead, hitting a mine there as well. Guys, I wish I could explain this, but it's just... I don't really get it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. The masses of mines... I just, at some point, I thought Maru might start building something other than mines, but he seems he's like, oh, you know what, this is kind of fun. I like just building masses of mines. The Phoenix is going to fight each other. Super Battery will help sOS out. The Phoenix count is in favor of MaxPax, but despite that, I feel like that's been the case a couple of times, and MaxPax has never been able to really turn it into anything substantial. Which is obviously a little crazy. All mines making their way through. These mines still in the back. I can't believe those are still alive. They've been blowing up reinforcements for an eternity at this point. I'm surprised nobody's really noticed them. I mean, Widow mines are literally just bum rushing siege tanks right now. I mean, the Phoenix actually going to lift up, but they need to be careful not to get caught in friendly fire. We now have mines against mines over here. I mean, how do you even describe Widow mines versus Widow mines? Is that even a thing? Like, is that even a thing? That's genuinely one of the most perplexing things I've ever seen. Mines fighting Widow mines. You just never see this, because why would anyone build mines in TVT to this extent? You just wouldn't. The most mines you see in TVT is like one mine early game supporting a marine drop or something, or like defending Reaper Hellion. It's just absolutely unique situation right now. Maru's finally like, okay, I'm gonna build some Thors as well. The Widow mines are fun, but he actually just wants something a little bit more sustainable and a little bit more reliable as well. Oh my god, SCVs. They don't even get one-shot by mines on the splashdown because of their extra HP. And they're just still like surviving. Still mines just everywhere though. Ay ay ay. Mines are still just marching into literally. I mean, reinforcing mines are being killed by mines that are camping out the natural. As Maru just burrows mines into souL's mineral line again. I feel like I've said the word mine more than I've ever said it previously in my life. Because now I feel like every time I say it, I'm like, wait, is that even a real word? I've said it so much, can it possibly be real? Yeah, very, very, very real so far. Wouldn't mind defensively from souL and MaxPax. Goes off and hits a few mines. Maru just keeps on expanding. Again, he did build a couple of Thors. That will help a lot with the Phoenix. Phoenix obviously can't lift up against Thors or anything along that, anything like that. So it does definitely have an impact. Masses of Widow mines, my friends. It's going to go up there and try and zone out the Phoenix of his opponent. So MaxPax can't bring the Phoenix, and if those mines are around, and that just allows you to use the Phoenix as you wish as SOS. There's a couple of Thors, and like I said, there's not really much of an answer to those. Widow mines burrow up. I mean, these mines just kind of running around everywhere. Some going toward a mineral line. The siege tank survives, doesn't get mined upon. I guess think Maru was like, well, everyone just told me just keep mining all game long, and the more you mine, the more you win the game. Well, Maru, we didn't mean Widow mines. We meant actually mining money. You know, this is a little bit overkill on the Widow mine spectrum. Will replays be available? Replays go out to Olimoleague patrons for the Olimoleague. That's !Olimoleague, O-L-I-M-O League. In the chat, we'll give you the link. You can get the replay packs from this event over there. They will not go out in my replay packs. Maru is still just up like 60 supply over anybody else in the game. Like, I feel like that has to just be stated, by the way, that like Maru is still just casually in the lead. This is definitely YouTube material. They probably get like a couple views, yeah. Maru, Masses Widow Mines. The thing is, like, how do you even make a title? Maru only builds Widow Mines? Maru plays mine only? I mean, I don't even know how to explain how truly ridiculous this game has been, right? Like, I don't know if a YouTube title could even do it justice at this stage. Phoenix are clearing up some Widow Mines off souL and MaxPax, and they're going to tap out of this game. Turns out Maru's ability to build Widow Mines is just too good in this first map. Maru plays Mage GG on the 31-month resub. Little sub train. Thank you so much, guys. Welcome back to the resubs. Appreciate it. As we have got in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, MaxPax and souL here on Nightscape. In the top right, it is SOS and Maru. And SOS sends a very early probe out onto the map. See what he wants to do with that. Orbgate X gonna keep the sub train going with the 8-month resub on the Prime. Welcome back. And thank you so much for supporting as well. Just a probe scout, it seems, with this super early probe. Not gonna go into doing anything else too crazy. These colors are really cool. Yeah, this map's pretty neat. I actually kind of like it. A map they've not really, I've not really seen much before. Hey, JB Dam, thank you so much for the Prime for the 2-month resub. Says thanks for the SC2. Thank you so much for resubscribing. I'm hit up a little hype train in the chat. How about that? Thank you so much for the resubs, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for the little sub train, as that first game of Maru SOS was truly just ridiculous. Here against MaxPax souL. And we'll see what comes out of this round 2 this time around. Yo, and that's just, just hype train all around, huh? Thank you so much to lead us on the $30 donation. No message attached, just $30 in the bank account. Thank you very much for your generosity. Oh yeah, thank you so much for the 30 bucks, dude. Appreciate the support, and thanks for keeping the stream running. Really appreciate it. Factory on the way up. A couple of depth coming through, CC coming down. As our early game gets going, Twilight Council from MaxPax against the Stargate of SOS. So Stargate against the Twilight is going to be our initial setup here for game number 2. Two adepts of MaxPax making their way across the map. What is going on? Oh my goodness. Slozza just dropped a $100 donation. Just saying, entertaining as always. Sorry, didn't mean to blow into the microphone. Holy crap. Montian gets gifted a sub. Isn't that nice? Going the other way around for a change. Usually Montian is the king of gifting subs. Now he gets a gifted sub. Meanwhile, Adepts, Reapers, and Hellions get turned around by the Oracle, so SSS will say, nuh-uh. No access allowed into our base. Gonna be able to turn that around immediately. And then Void Ray coming up on that Stargate as well. So getting that going, bringing that through. This Oracle continues to get chased away out over that left-hand side. And it's going to go and see if it can get anything else done. Yo, guys, thank you for the continued subs. I will shout out everybody properly after the game. Thanks for keeping the hype train going. Thank you for the donation. I see them all, but that's getting a bit out of hand. And obviously, the game's heating up a bit. So I want to try and focus up on the game as much as we can. Thank you so much for the support, though. Keep it rolling. I will just do the shout-outs after the game. Just wanted to make a mention. Voidray shows up, and that should be able to turn around the first Stalkers here. The first one goes down. That's a defense. I mean, MaxPax has a gateway out the front. He's just on one base. So he's on one base. souL is rocking up with a Marine Cyclone. In we go. A couple of grenades going down. There's going to be enough to break them. The problem, I mean, where's souL's army in this? Here we go. A few units arriving now. I was going to say, more than anything, it just felt as though souL wasn't really kind of fully committed like MaxPax is. MaxPax will start to expand behind this now. Just going to see the Void Rays. I mean, beautiful battery on the high ground. What? That's in range of the Nexus? Oh my god, that's a disgusting battery position. That is actually disgusting. That's in range of the Nexus for a super battery. That is actually kind of crazy. That's going to be seen as Stalker's still pushing through. They get rid of a tank. Honestly, I mean, that super battery is so critical because the Void Rays then obviously stay alive that much longer, goes that much better for them. We will get rid of this Nexus, I think, in a moment or two. Gets rid of it, so the SOS natural expansion will go down. It will fall. But I don't think you break through any further because Maru's got the tanks up, and I just don't think you've got the power for that. Coming out of this, let's do that comparison. 6 workers in the lead, SOS, and a little bit of army supply in the lead. Maru against souL. souL is down 5 workers, so overall just worker lead from Maru and SOS. Kind of expected. In the end, some damage was done, and maybe this Nexus will help MaxPax to take a worker lead too. But yeah, the guys that defended, they did a good job of defending, and it shows in the numbers coming out of this. The grand decorations make you think the Nexus is shooting like a Void Ray beam as a Nexus overcharge. It does look a bit like that when you like glance across. It's actually like, it's a very bright line, isn't it? Like, it's a very bright decoration on the map for sure. It really stands out, especially because the rest of the map is just so dark. It's kind of wild. I just went over here. I was like, is that CC being nibbled by something? No, it was Void Rays out the front kill on the pylon. I just had the same issue myself, guys. Now I'm thinking it's a possibility. I'm kind of talking about it as though it is as well. Stalker's coming around the right, just going to be pushing forward. A Void Ray 2. And take a couple of shots, and just going to see our command centers of Maru building up en masse. He's building 3 command centers, by the way. Holy crap. That is called being very comfortable in what you have set up. I mean, the thing is, you can take one base over here on this gold right away, and then you can just use the other 2 as macro CCs if you feel super safe and defensive right now, if you don't feel like you need to rush into anything. So Maru's just going to get away with like a mega economy play early. And let's see if it pays off. Then they're going to get into an amazing position. If you can actually even utilize that many command centers, is that even maybe just too many? Like, can you ever have too many command centers? I mean, there's questions to be asked here that I've never had to ask before. The extra gates continuing through, plus 1 attack upgrade coming in as well. Couple forges still just coming up, and we've got a Cloak Banshee around the right side, so souL going to attempt to put some further damage, further pressure on the map right now. Bringing this up the right. Start our Banshee up into this main base as we just have a few probes kind of settle down mining. And she's going to start to pick away for the shield battery to start, so going to pick away at the battery. Meanwhile, we've got these few Stalkers trying to make a bit of a push forward, but not really going to find much. Again, just super defensive, essentially 5 base between the 2 players. That's obviously a pretty good position to be in. Don't think anyone is upset about that at the moment. Marines lifting off on the bottom right. We've got a group of Stalkers still just there. Where are we going from this? I mean, SOS, Phoenix, a Colossus, upgrades, MaxPax, kind of just doing what exactly? I mean, right now, just Stalkers, not really any other tech in the game. Definitely feels like Maru and SOS have a much better late game coming through in the near future. Feels like they're getting into a much better position. Stalkers will hang around in the center. Going to be seeing Marine Tank Marauder going to start pressing through to the upper right-hand side. So going to start moving this out to the upper right. These Stalkers peel off to the right side, and just going to be seeing the rest of this army from souL coming through as well. I just don't know how you break the 5 bases here. I think they've got the right idea, just continuing to mass expand behind it. We're going to get into a bit of a fight here. I mean, MaxPax just has to back away from that. Void Rays show up on the gold base of souL, so he's going to have his mining denied here for a little while, and that's going to be costly. Whoa, we just blinked forwards. We just made a move. I believe there was a recall into the main base to go deal with this Warp Prism, and that was when they believed there was a chance to make the move otherwise, but Matrixes go down, souL's army is dropping. Maru, I mean, gets traded out for. Wasn't a free cleanup or anything, but this definitely looks as though it will be a win for Maru and SOS overall. How did the attack in the main go? Not well enough. Both players on the red and orange team, the Korean team, seem to be coming out with better supplies to their counterparts. The only thing souL has is maybe better upgrades. Obviously, Maru's playing mech, though, so it's also kind of just different comps. I mean, yeah, Maru was just setting up for a super long game to begin with, right? And we kind of saw that, we kind of realized that when he built all of those command centers. He's still just sat on 5 orbitals in this game, and he's got no rush to go anywhere, it seems. Two Void Rays around that bottom side, just keep on patrolling. GTs of SOS going to sneak up, going to go a couple different directions, one into this natural, one towards the main, so SOS now going to try and harass souL and MaxPax and slow them down that little bit wherever possible. Just trying their best on that one. Big drop from souL gets into the gold base of Maru, and that's going to be the one to try and get some damage done right here. Doing okay with that. More Stalkers warping in on the top side. This drop gets cleaned up. I mean, just looks like Maru and SOS continue to defend well around the map, right? Not really finding any major issues. Keeping themselves alive and keeping themselves comfortable, not going to let MaxPax and souL do the damage they're looking for. And I honestly feel like Maru and SOS are absolutely onto a game where when they get maxed out, their armies are just going to be terrifying based on the armies that they're building. And that might just be somewhat unbeatable at that point. Multiple carriers coming in right now. So bringing these through, just going to be seeing a few medevacs. Trying to get back from souL as well. I mean, this is now only about 12-ish, 15-ish army supply, or just supply advantage in general for Maru. But remember that he's playing mech against a bio army, and that is definitely something to think about there. As now SOS finds these drops, and that's going to be a lot of souL's supply disappearing very quickly here too. These few tanks coming around a gateway on that low ground being picked away at as well. That's going to go down. We're going to hallucinate up a bunch of Colossi. Separate sieges. The Zealot gets shot down. A couple of Zealots being picked away at here still. Still pushing through this. This army of SOS is just on a rampage. souL has nothing left at all, by the way. So it's basically down to MaxPax's army, which in fairness, he's gotten up to carriers. What answer is there to carriers? A lot of Stalkers. A Raven could maybe Matrix a couple. Yeah, that is the plan. Matrix is one of the carriers up. I mean, Disruptor shots are going to want to try and hit the Stalkers to remove some of the anti-air. If nothing else, they're going to get rid of a lot of bases here, SOS and Maru. And at the same time, on the right-hand side, these Voids not going to do much at all. MaxPax actually defends that base of souL for the moment. Can MaxPax make this happen? Overall supplies are about 300 each. Army supplies overall a little bit favoring Maru and SOS. Themselves trying to counterattack, but they're being intercepted by reinforcements. Maru's just going to take his tanks and clean out the upper left side, right? And this army of SOS is going to zone the carriers from coming and join a fight or anything. And that just seems to be the goal is, yeah, tanks are going to siege, bases are going to be in, obviously, trouble they can't really find a way out of. There is one base super far top left that will survive this, but honestly, it just looks like Maru and SOS are going to have this down lockdown. Thanks to the upper left-hand side. Here come the Stalkers coming through, the carriers as well. Go pushing on in. The Stalker Colossus force has to try and get out of there. Going to try and go running. Vikings coming through, and the Colossi still being chased. Maru and SOS are both basically maxed out now, and souL just is not rebuilding quickly at all as he loses so many of the bases. This army of SOS is disappearing, but SOS also has a ton of units down this direction. If he can just find something of a flank in. I mean, Maru's building Thors as well, so he's finally going to have an answer to the carriers as well, something that can probably help against them, whereas before he did not have that. So, as long as you can get rid of these carriers, I mean, with the Thors here, I really think it's going to happen. SOS is coming around the other side, so he's going to get this flank going on. I think they've just got this, guys. I think they're going to be able to make this happen as we continue to push on through. The carriers continue to drop down dead, and that is going to be Maru and SOS looking pretty freaking good to take game number 2. Because now, obviously, they can just counterattack, and MaxPax and souL do not have any sort of anything to really fight with in comparison to that, so looks like that will about be it as Stalkers continue through. Carriers have just recalled back. GG from souL, GG from MaxPax. Maru and SOS take the second game. Alright, so it's game 3 of these 5 maps played between souL and MaxPax, the blue team to the top left of Arctic Dream, and versus Maru and SOS to the bottom right of Arctic Dream has the red and orange team here. 2v2 from Olimoleague Invitational number 2. 5 maps played, Maru and SOS won the first 2 games. If you're watching this one on YouTube, I just want to make a quick mention that we didn't get to continue casting after the first 2 games live on the day because I had to go and meet my new puppy. So we are basically picking this back up about a week later, actually. This was played like a week ago, or just about a week ago. So I'm just picking this back up and diving into these next few games, just because I thought this was a fun series, and I obviously want to get the full part of, all of it up on YouTube. So I just thought it'd be kind of a lot of fun. So we're just finishing these off. So if it feels weird, if I'm in a bit of a different mood, if I'm talking about different things, if I don't quite remember what happened in games 1 and 2, then I'm sorry. It's just we are picking this up, like I say, after a few days away. And like I say, it wasn't a continuation directly from games 1 and 2. And hey, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to maybe hit that like button and maybe subscribe as well. It goes a whole way to helping us out. I really appreciate it. And hey, Mr. or Mrs. or whoever you are, anonymous gifter, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Really appreciate that. I'll pull those out properly after this first game, which is actually game 3. You guys know what I mean, though. Game 3 of this first game that I'm casting since we picked this back up. So yeah, the one thing I do remember was the Maru and SOS game where Maru just built Mass Widow Mine and supporting the Phoenix versus Phoenix play. So that's what happened. So basically, MaxPax and SOS going to Phoenix versus Phoenix, and Maru just built Mass Widow Mine, and it actually just got out of hand. It got really out of control, and it was way more effective than it feels like it ever should have been. So that was definitely a thing as we just get ourselves rolling now. Factories on the way out on both sides, so no expansion yet from souL. Maru will expand. Meanwhile, MaxPax expands and SOS doesn't expand. So the different races on either side are doing different things. As we see, MaxPax is going to invest immediately into double Stargate. Now, SOS is going Twilight Council. So SOS is already fairly well set on what he wants to go into here. Get that Twilight Council up and kind of play from there. That's going to be his initial goal, so we'll see what he can do with that. He's just going to go blink. So he's 1 base blinking. Again, so MaxPax going 2 base, 2 Stargate. Definitely a little bit, funky, right? Definitely a little bit different. As we do see these first couple of adepts coming through and having a bit of a skirmish on the front lines. The Dark Shrine and the Robo Facility coming through from SOS, so already getting that build up as well. So getting that established right now. Obviously getting into the potential of building up into those DTs properly. And otherwise, everything looking pretty neat at the moment, looking pretty tidy. I see this Reaper of Maru does hop up into the main base, so just going to go for a little bit of a look around there. Drops down a grenade, and it's being annoying. You can see that SOS building that Dark Shrine out on the left-hand side as well, so really is looking to try and just be super aggressive. So Blink into Dark Shrine. So he actually started Blink, then cancelled Blink, built the Dark Shrine, restarted Blink. The stasis ward here actually does catch a few probes in this main base, so a few probes are caught, are in stasis, and are unable now to then help themselves, and will just be stuck there for the foreseeable future. This map's gigantic. Yeah, well, I mean, the team game maps usually are, right? And it makes sense. You got twice as many players in the game. I do think this is still large for 2v2, but I'm also not an expert on 2v2, so I also... I'm also not, like, out here trying to make a major judgment call or anything. You know, it was actually one of the cool things about casting this event. It was, like, just very naturally chill because, you know, in terms of 2v, you know, it really was just about enjoying the games that, you know, I can't be like a professional commentator on 2v2 because I've got no idea what happens in 2v2. So we just had a good time casting this, and obviously we're gonna have a good time casting this again now. So I was eager to get it finished as well, actually. Just thought it'd be some good fun. Good way to fill some time between tournaments. Well, Prism, being annoying, the DT's coming through and doing very well. I mean, both sides have been losing a variety of workers. MaxPax lost his Oracle. The Void Ray show up and activate Prismatic, and that is goodbye Warp Prism. So it will fall pretty uneventfully, really. He just kind of walks in, gets killed, that's it. Remember, SOS was late to the expansion, but now these DTs are putting in a lot of work, and there's only so much detection available. And lack of detection from Team souL and MaxPax is definitely starting to cost them at least a little bit here. Definitely isn't the simplest of days for them just yet. As you do have the ECC moving out to the third. So Maru is just kind of letting SOS do whatever he wants. And honestly, SOS has fallen pretty far behind. And Maru is just kind of playing his own game. Yeah, the DTs we kind of need, but look at the supplies. Everyone is 60 plus, and then you've got SOS who's at 36. So that's all because SOS lost a Prism, 3 DTs. And did he do substantial damage? Not gonna say, I don't think he did really. I actually don't think he did all that much considering how much he's invested into it all. I feel like it's somewhat fallen down and not done what was needed. So it feels like SOS is already trailing that little bit, as now we've got souL and MaxPax. They're going to start up a push through the center of the map and head down to the bottom right-hand corner. So away they go down to the bottom right here, as we will have a Stalker helping to lead the charge. Let's see if they can do something. So they're going to set up on the side of SOS, who is less able to defend himself because he invested to those DTs early. Maru does bring his army here, though, and Maru is playing mech as well, by the way, in case you didn't see in the production tab. So while souL plays bio, Maru will play mech, and, well, Maru is going to be forced forwards if he really wants to protect SOS's base, because the front of SOS's base is already dropping down. One Stalker there gets picked off, and now there's Immortal trying to move through. That's not going to go well, and that Immortal will go down. So MaxPax just losing out on a unit there, losing out on the control a little bit. And while they infiltrate SOS's main base, they are left open to Maru and closing the gap. And closing, I don't know the word I want to use this, but closing in on them from the other side. So Maru's putting a bit of a timer on them as SOS's main base gets wiped out. This is a game where I think SOS is just going to be kind of wiped out in general for a while. You can see, obviously, he's still trying to be active with the DTs, and they are fine. I mean, souL's now lost 18 SCVs, so as we have this fight here, some mortar turrets going down. SOS is really going to be down and out. And this is going to be Maru essentially having to play 1v2 at this stage, as we do see souL just getting rid of all those probes of SOS. Now, Maru can, of course, give some money to SOS, let him build back up. The other way they could play this is maybe Maru gives control of his units to SOS and says, here, you know, almost play it like an Archon game. You give control and you say, okay, well, you can control my units now. You know, go forth, macro them, micro them, and all that good stuff, and, you know, try and actually do something useful with them. So that's kind of their choices. Either of them particularly good over the other choices. I actually think I'd prefer to see SOS just given some money to slowly rebuild. And once Maru gets stabilized, because right now Maru's at 110 supply. He was a big greedy early game. He's at 110 supply with mech, which is obviously a very good composition to be ahead on supply with. So I feel like it's pretty feasible that Maru could hold on for a while, especially because mech is super defensive as well. The real question is just, does it go... How well does it go in the future? Like, how long does he hold on for? And the answer to that may just be not long enough, as I do see the units already in the back of his base on the bottom side. As Maru trying to, again, essentially 1v2 MaxPax and souL. Is it possible? Surely not, right? I mean, you're working with basically... You know, if you basically just combine MaxPax and souL right now, you're talking about you know, an 82 worker economy versus 55. you know, so about double the army supply. Then again, SOS is still being annoying, so SOS is like this little harassing machine right now, just cranking out the DTs and using those DTs very effectively to put some damage on the map. Doing a really, really good job of that thus far. As you see these tanks finally going down, so remember when we said that Maru was kind of shutting down this position or enclosing on this position? He finally got the cleanup on that army of souL there, so souL losing a few units. MaxPax recalls out of trouble, of course, no surprises about that. And we continue along with Maru's mech. Honestly, SOS's DT is doing so much. I did not expect there to ever be such a competition over, there's these few DTs. I mean, SOS has only got one DT and one War Prism. He is rebuilding the Nexus, so he has been gifted some money so he can get the rebuild underway. He's going to retake his main and slowly try and claw his way back into the game. My question being, of course, does Maru give him enough time to actually do that? Can Maru hold off MaxPax and SOL long enough for SOS? I mean, it just feels impossible. The idea of just holding off long enough for someone to completely rebuild from no Nexus. 1v2. But I mean, if there's ever a composition to do it with, it's probably Mech, and if there's anybody to do that, it would probably also be Maru, right? So, well, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, it is very, very unlikely. I do not want to go ahead and say it's impossible. I'd like to believe there's something of a chance that this still turns into a back and forth game. I mean, I think I'm really dreaming here more than anything, but like I say, you don't believe it'll never happen, right? Gotta believe to make these things happen in the first place. Missiles moving through. We do see the army moving down the bottom right-hand side. That's going to be seeing the... I don't know what Maru's coming over here for. Was there something? Is just that Raven? They're just tagging... SOS is pointing out the Raven, and souL's Raven gets taken down. Okay. So SOS has a base back up. One more upgrade's coming through. That blink is going to be halfway done as well. So, I mean, that's MaxPax getting into a better and better position also. souL, I'm surprised about. I mean, he has been running around against that one DT way longer than he ever should have been. But I really felt like there's not been much reason for souL to be so far behind, and now Maru's going to go across the map. Yeah, I mean, honestly, souL lost a lot more than I thought in this game. And really did get just slowed down a lot more than I thought as well, basically on building back up. Maru just on 4 bases, and souL drops the bottom right-hand side. Maru has still got the army on the map, but remember, anywhere he goes, he's essentially fighting against 2 players, so even though he's maxed out, the combined supply of souL and MaxPax is up at 250, so 250 versus 190, it's still souL and MaxPax that have that advantage. Meanwhile, SOS gets back up to 7 supplies, he adds on another probe. Slow going, but he's getting there. He is getting there, however slow. Anti-armor missile hits these void rays. A couple of matrices going down as Maru wants to try and find a way in. He's going to siege up the tanks, and the first volley of tanks going to do very well against the Marines as Maru is going to keep that position. A counterattack of Zealots from MaxPax going across the map and going to get into this mineral line. I like the pinging from SOS and Maru, just obviously, talking to each other, being like, hey, we need to defend here. Well, specifically SOS, I think, pinging to just help Maru know where to move units to, where to defend, minimize the damage. So being a good teammate, despite being kind of out for the count in terms of actual units this game, as MaxPax and souL push on through this army of Maru, and that is Maru taking some heavy losses. Down to 130 supply, and well, souL isn't exactly ahead of 130. MaxPax almost is. He's not far off it, so combined, they are still the superior force in this game 3. One tank sieging around the bottom side. Other tank sieging up from souL. Ooh, 2 tanks get caught in a matrix right away. Now we start pushing on forward. These void rays coming through this, and we're going to get right on top and clean up a whole bunch of this. Disruptor shot is really good as well. I mean, Maru still just about holds off though, and One of the big things is going to be, can he hold off against those tanks of souL? Because I really look at the tanks of souL and think, well, those tanks can be pretty annoying, but they're also not going to push into a position super easily. So, okay, I can learn to live it a little bit. Hey, Faithlegs, what's up? Thank you so much for the 8-month resub. Love the work you're doing, Wardy. Keep it up. Thank you so much for the 8-month resub. Appreciate the supporters. We have Maru essentially trying to hold this off. Man, MaxPax and souL, I'm just surprised they never had a better economy, you know? So, I mean, souL lost a lot of SCVs this game. I just really thought there'd be a better economy from the two of them. And that seems as though... It almost seems as though at points they have not quite done the right thing. Is sOs losing his base again? So sOs is back down to a plain, simple, boring DT and a Prism. I mean, it feels like that's where sOs is just destined to live in this. He has a DT, a Prism, and a Dream. So we'll see if he can make something happen with them. As to be fair, he has probably had the most annoying DT the world has ever seen. It has 29 kills, this Dark Templar. And it blinks back to the Warp Prism to safety. And it's going to get out of there one more time. 29 kills on that DT as he's been babysitting it through so many situations, trying to just be as much of an annoyance as one player can be with just one unit. I mean, he's been doing genuinely a very good amount with that, I gotta say. Well, sOs. Oh, sOs actually only has a Twilight Council left. That's kind of a big deal, right? Because with only a Twilight... The problem is Maru can't give sOs money anymore because sOs doesn't have a probe to rebuild anything with. So if they can get that Twilight, does sOs... What actually happens? Does sOs not be allowed to do anything anymore? What happens if one player gets fully eliminated? I'm not sure. And by the way, what this might turn into is Mech versus Protoss, because souL is really kind of running out of steam a little bit. And it kind of is already just Mech versus Protoss as the major fight in this game. Maru currently has more army supply than the opponents combined. And it looks as though Maru might be on the way to the 2v1. Anti-armor missile going down. Army gets coated. Maru is chasing again with so many Ravens up as well. Gives him so much utility. His Vikings are going to chase him for that Prism. I can't believe it. sOs has 0 supply left in the game. Oh, the slow zone hurts the Disruptor. It can't get where it needs to be. Oh my god, MaxPax's army has just crumbled, and Maru is going to start getting on top of the bases of MaxPax. Oh my goodness, guys. Is Maru actually just going to 1v2 them? SB got away again. To be fair, like, I keep saying 1v2, but I do genuinely believe the harassment from sOs was pretty substantial in creating a victorious, and in creating a chance to be victorious here. Tank's taking down another pylon. Ooh, we do have units down here doing what they can, but it looks like they're going to get cleaned up. The only problem is there's no answer to the Void Rays. DTs show up, though. And MaxPax's blinky DTs are going to be able to get in and do pretty well pretty quickly as well. Other DTs come in and those tanks getting chased away. We scan, and I mean, actually, these DTs are putting in some mega work as Maru has issues, and souL actually in the main base putting some pressure on too. I mean, just putting in whatever he can. He has slowly been building just a little bit of bio here and there. Army collects back to the upper right, going to move through, and that's a Nexus which will not last all too long. We do try and expand left-hand side as MaxPax instead, who is essentially trying to re-establish a third base. Maru's going to have to pull his army back from the upper. I actually genuinely worry, though, about more DTs, because I actually think DTs could be the bigger problem of all. Just the firepower they can create out of nowhere is huge, and now these Voids on the other side chased away as well. And just something else that MaxPax will not keep up and running. Maru still about even when it comes to the army supply. souL and MaxPax struggling around 55. Maru at 110-ish. Maru keeping the control of the game with his mech army coming back around the left-hand side now. Vikings going to find, though, the Ravens. We'll start with an order turret or two. I mean, tanks are sieging, and it looks as though, I mean, Maru will win the initial siege. souL's tank gets killed as it turns to shoot. Doesn't get a shot off, though. Oh my goodness. He actually doesn't get the Raven there. That's +3 vehicle plating coming into play. That Raven surviving as disruptors. Disruptors are really annoying because disruptors are something that's hard to deal with, and so are these Tempests, and that might just be the victory condition here for MaxPax and souL. Having Tempest, something you just can't really deal with otherwise. Massive Matrix is going down. We're just going to kind of run into the Tempest, but nothing is shooting at the Tempest. So Maru's kind of moving his army through here without really being able to do all that much. And then you see some of the Hellions moving around. I mean, obviously wanting to try and shut down economy and bases and maybe then just build into an answer to the Tempest. I mean, he's not wrong. He's genuinely very close to having MaxPax and souL on basically no further units. Tempests and carriers are continuing through the centers. Tank's going to get caught on the slow zone. I mean, again, just trying to retain some of these siege tanks. I mean, it is a question of getting up the Cyclone full count high enough to really be substantial here. As with carriers here too, life is going to get that just a little bit tougher. Maru made this genuinely very close, but he just never was prepared for MaxPax making that step up into Tempest carrier production. That's something he never really considered or played around at all, and I don't think I can blame him for that given the way that this game played out. I think it was pretty unlikely that MaxPax was going to get here too. But he did get here, and Maru did not have an answer for it once he got there. And that's obviously no good. GG from Maru. GG from SOS, still in the game. MaxPax and souL take game 3, but my goodness, it was not freaking easy, was it? Talk about having a tough time. MaxPax and souL do just about win it out, but took them a good. So, game number 4, in the top left-hand side, the red and orange team of Maru and sOS. We'll try maybe to keep both of them alive this time. Might play out a little bit better for them. As in the bottom right is MaxPax and souL. I really do wonder if they just could have taken a bit more eco. Like, it's funny, but neither of them got to a solidified economy, and so against the Mecha army, they genuinely had some troubles until that tech up happened. Well, Ally Probe moving onto the map. Meanwhile, souL is going to take a gas of MaxPax. Like, what? Like, MaxPax is trying to put gas in that. Did they think they could use each other's refineries? What? What? What just happened? What is the what just happened? Well, that's interesting. I don't even I don't even know what to say. Twitch chat lied to us. Oh my god. They believed the Twitch chat. Frank says it needs some time. I have no idea. Is that a thing? Can mine off of others assimilators and stuff? I don't even know. And X is down a little crowd here from MaxPax. Oh, well, I mean, that's definitely a little bit interesting. I have no words apart from, well, Twitch chat lied to them, guys. So, yeah, what you gonna do about it, huh? You could do it if you gave MaxPax control. Yeah, so MaxPax didn't have control. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's a control thing, but I really personally don't know enough about 2v2 to make that statement, so it would have just been me guessing. I didn't want to throw more confusion into the chaos. I'd rather just laugh about it. Well, a cute idea that went wrong. The inexperience. I mean, that's why. So Twitch chat was right. They just didn't give them all the information. I see. I see. Well, the two Reapers are Maru just kind of hanging around, and honestly not bad. 3 probes killed of MaxPax already in the game, so having a pretty good start, all things considered. As we do have our Reapers making their way around and looking to try access the right-hand side of this now. So up they go. Maybe just go for souL's base. And try and pick away at a couple of SCVs, perhaps. As in we go. SCV's taking some shots. Nice little grenade goes down. Marine's going to get bopped in the skies. We do have a couple of Stalkers of SOS showing up as well. So Maru and SOS really comboing up to put the pressure on Rock Sally in this map 4 that we've got here. Taking down a probe on the low ground. What else is going on here? So Gateway setting up. This Rack's coming through. Got Cloak coming up for the Banshees as well. With the assimilator just going to get couple of probes, sorry, in the assimilator is going to get caught up a little bit. I was going to see our robot facility and our void ray coming through as well, so just getting this continued as we do see additional stalkers warping in. Banshee Cyclone in production too. I mean, SOS still just has a couple gates over here, still just on one base. Like, SOS feels as though it's like, he's like, well, if I can't win on one base, I'm sure Maru can just 2v1 them or 1v2 them this time around, right? So SOS is like, why even expand? Just leave my other bases for Maru to take. Voids are going to start pushing these Stalkers back, and that is going to be a defense. Obviously, the Stalkers have blinks. They can go for a different direction. It seems like the entire plan is basically that SOS is the distractor. He's the fool. He keeps MaxPax and souL entertained. And then Maru is the, you know, is truly just going to run through and just have too much. That seems to be the overall kind of plan for the moment. I mean, the question is, can you actually do enough as one player, being the aggressor, to truly be annoying and to cause chaos? So far, the answer to that is yes. The first Banshee Maru goes down without doing anything, just shot down with the scan. The Void Ray locked onto it and actually got the kill very easily. So the first Banshee Maru doesn't do anything. He's on his way to Hyperflight Rotors to try and make that a little bit of a better situation. Cute little lift from souL there. 1 SCV into the command center to keep it alive. Marines coming through. These Stalkers going to end up blinking into the main base as they go all the way up here. Some SCVs continuing down as well. Just going to be seeing those Void Rays activating. Just going to try and pick away at these few Stalkers. So a couple Stalkers going down. You see the army of Maru back into the center here. If those Marines, the Cyclone all joining up. Other Stalkers back around as well. Just going to be seeing the army still poised out to the left-hand side. A Banshee going to be coming through and actually going to start putting some damage out onto the shield battery. So the shield battery taking some hits. As the tank is sieged up there as well, so the low ground position is pretty powerful, and we are going to see this base of MaxPax in some trouble. Unable to really get going. The Void Ray gets shot down here. These Marines going to take down the Oracle too. The Banshees are not going to last very long, however, and with everything else coming over here, looks as though this is going to be the defense and the turnaround. So souL is going to be able to push Maru and SOS away. Well, obviously MaxPax was there as well, but souL's tank siege really were the get the hell out of here moment. Move across, the Marines are just going to dive on this pylon. SOS is going to lose it. He dives in and he gets himself the medevac. Losing the pylon, I mean, that's 2 of his gateways out of commission. The bad news being, of course, that he actually only has 3 gates. So now he can only warp in off 1 gateway, so he's going to have to rectify that. Trying to take down this base. Meanwhile, the Banshees of Maru coming back through. I mean, at this stage, 15 probes and 20 SCVs dead from the Maru, from the souL MaxPax combination. Maru and SOS's harassment is truly getting somewhere. I mean, remember, Maru has those speedy Banshees now, the Hyperfly Rotors, so he's able to kind of zoom out of there, zoom out of scan range. He's going to play with going back in. I mean, this is genuinely frustrating to play against. These Banshees are just going everywhere. You can't actually stop them, it seems. You go on through another SCV or 2 going down. The Phoenix gets there to clean up in the end, but genuinely frustrating. As we do have the army ready to maybe come up into this main again. Stalker's trying to find another way to be annoying. Looking at the supplies, I mean, different, players of different races are down on each side. SOS is down on the side of Maru, and SOS makes sense with how slow he expanded. And then souL seems to be taking the worst of the damage here, as he's down to 13 workers. So, overall, supplies are favoring Maru and SOS. In the last few moments, it's turned into their favor. I remember these Marines of Maru are not upgraded or anything. They are just sort of, basic Marines. Just kind of joining in for kind of, basically damage output. You've got to spend your minerals on something, right? So try and get rid of this gateway. Meanwhile, these Stalkers are backing out of here. We gather up with Banshee Marine tank again. Maru is basically only building Banshees, it feels like. He's lost 5 already. He still has a few on the 4 on the map. He's now building battle cruisers though as well. souL, sorry, I got mixed up a little bit there. souL's actually now going Hyperflight Rotors and Banshees of his own. Maru's on his way to battle cruisers. So Maru ain't messing around. I mean, it's kind of funny just how much chaos Maru and SOS are causing and creating, and how they're able to tech up and do somewhat ridiculous things because of it. And at the moment, it seems like they might be getting away with it too, considering they're somewhat ahead in the supplies. If that's our direct comparison we're going to be making for the moment, at least. And Quad Banshee makes its way to the other side here and is going to come through for a few hits. Not really able to do too much though. Couple of carriers building from MaxPax, going to rally onto those few Phoenix. It's going to be seeing the Banshees are really trying to find more openings. The vision is actually pretty cool here. Like this Observer, just having ways to kind of spot these units moving in so you can react a little bit ahead of time. I mean, they're definitely playing around the position of the map and these kind of, bases they can attack around the back of from the low ground. There are Banshees of souL across the map now too, so he's going to move in. Kills a turret to start. He wants to try and stop this 4th base and get the SCVs here as well. Another turret on this base, and he loses 1 Banshee now. I imagine, well, Revelation comes through and SOS suddenly has a bunch of Phoenix, so those Banshees don't last long at all. And meanwhile, a fleet beacon's coming up. So as BCs are building from Maru, SOS is about to have a fleet beacon. Sorry, SOS is already building carriers. I'm getting this... No, sorry. MaxPax is already building carriers. Sorry, it's because MaxPax and souL are bottom of the map on the top of the production tab, and I'm getting myself mixed up with how I usually cast things. Yes, so everyone's kind of heading into tier 3 air units apart from souL. souL is just trying to build another command center tank marine production, just going to try and be a supporting force to MaxPax. But if SOS can match MaxPax and Maru has BCs on top of that, well, I'll let you guys do the math. I think Maru and SOS might be on their way to winning this game number 4. Banshee's coming through for a bit more damage. You'll drop a Revelation. As that Flux Veins is coming up from MaxPax as well. Additional carriers coming through. Phoenix and an Oracle out in the center. The other Banshees of Maru making their way down to the south. Relation catching a little bit there. Just going to be seeing the Phoenix run some harassment in as well. Maru is really kind of skyrocketing when it comes to supply. His economy has just been set up much better than anybody else's. Maru is like, you know what it's like? It's like Maru and SOS are playing bot lane. Maru is the AD carry, and SOS is the support. He supports Maru to get him up to, you know, powered up and ready to go. And he's got some tools of his own, right? And he can be annoying himself. But Maru is the one that's going to be the damage dealer. Maru is the one that's going to be really putting out the pain and really bringing the hurt in these upcoming fights. With all of those BCs. And obviously Maru's doing his own amount of damage as well. These Banshees have been fantastic all game long. Don't think we can mention enough just how critical they have been in kind of causing chaos. Here come the battle cruisers flying into the base of souL and MaxPax. And we just mass auto down a bunch of carriers because that's how we roll. Just going to move on through here. 1-1 against +1 when it comes to air weapons. So 1-1 for the BCs. +1 on the Protoss side of everybody, basically. The Phoenix trying to join in, but MaxPax just says GG. And souL is going to have to tap out of there as well. Maru and SOS battle cruisers show up and they win game number 4. That means officially they win the series 3-1. But of course, it's 5 maps played. And the players get paid based on each map that they win, more so than winning the series. So there is still going to be a 5th map here between Maru SOS and MaxPax souL. And so let's get ourselves ready for that. Fun, shall we? And see what we get for a game 5. So remember, it's not officially best of 5. It's 5 maps played. So this is the 5th map. As Maru and SOS are hanging out in the bottom left corner of the map, taking on MaxPax and souL in the upper right. So 3-1, Maru and SOS already going to be taking the majority of the prize money away from this series. Can MaxPax and souL guarantee themselves something a little bit of a bonus at the end? Let's find out. One more map to be played in all of it. As, yeah, we got ourselves a little probie of MaxPax coming across the map early. That's going to be our early setup. Bit of a shorter map compared to some of the others, right? Definitely feels just a little bit smaller from initial outlook. So maybe that has an influence in how the game gets played. Open the SCV, gonna get into skirmish. SCV needs to get over to the other side. Well, actually, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, the SCVs have 10 more HP, so you need the regen to come through before you can actually duel an SCV. SCVs are so broken. How come SCVs just get 10 HP more? Doesn't seem fair, right, guys? Unbelievable. Well, MaxPax doesn't gain much info with that full wall-off going down. Of course, there's one base in base here. And if the way that Maru and SOS have been playing continues, then Maru would put that down as his natural, and SOS will probably play one base or so initially, then take a base on the outward side a little bit later. It's going to be like that the other way around this time from the Terran and Protoss on the top right. MaxPax is going to take the expansion, while souL will just not. And he will stick on one base. So again, it's kind of opposite ways around. We've seen that before. Maru's building his CC in base though. So it looks as though SOS probably will be allowed the natural in the back eventually. As though he's going to drop double Stargate. There's no reason for Maru to build his CC in base if he was going to take the bottom left. Then he may as well build it in location. So it definitely seems to be an indicator that Maru is going to be doing that a little bit differently. Zella just moving through. Reaper is able to chase down the probe, which has been hanging around just a little bit too long, so MaxPax losing out on that. Like I say, just hanging around a bit too long here, a little while more than it should have been. Zella across the map from SOS. More so a scout than anything else is going to get shot down. Not really allowed to see anything either. Sees the racks. Doesn't see the add-on from the racks, so not really much you can say about that. So nobody really knows what the other guys are up to. Again, SOS one base in it. souL is going to expand, so now SOS expands too. So overall, MaxPax and souL just a little bit more eco-focused in a slight way. Nothing too major, though. Nothing too differing between them. Blink coming up. We can see the Reaper gets chased down. Actually, gets pushed around the side. As it gets shot down, so Maru will not have too much luck with his Reaper. And again, none of this anything that's kind of like end of the world territory or anything along those lines, though. Let's just have that Robo setting up. Stim, combat, and +1 attack are all coming through as well. So just getting plenty of our upgrades continuing in. And that is from Maru, of course. souL is playing just the 1-1-1 for the moment. So a little bit more kind of tech-heavy. Again, SOS, that double Stargate earlier, has led to now the Phoenix production, and they are making their first flight out onto the map. And we'll see what they can achieve, as obviously SCVs seem to be the initial target. So, coming around the right side, going to get a few of these SCVs. Kind of checks what's going on. We'll see reacted starport and stuff. You get a bit of info as to how souL is following up as well, and then just pulls them out in plenty of time before they take any substantial damage. So yeah, Stim combat shield +1, all continuing through. We do just have this little Reaper Helene Force making its way down to the bottom left. It's actually getting aggressive here, MaxPax, and so I mean, souL attack is scary, right? Marine Tank Viking, then the Stalker support could genuinely do a lot as well. Let's see what this turns into. Additional 4 Stalkers warping in. Sorry. Obviously, Blink ready here. This initial bunker is going to be in trouble. We're just going to dive on it with the Stalkers. As the tanks show up, they're obviously going to be able to do a good job helping that down. The Phoenix are going to show up, but now the Stalkers can target down the Phoenix, bringing the tanks back into play sooner, but Maru moved forward. And his units, without tanks to hold them back, have just been able to shred that. Having Stim and combat shields ready, meaning that he had the bio army to really aid him. The one thing he'll be missing, perhaps, is just going to be medevacs for healing. Maru does not have a starport producer until just now. It just started. So he had one. He just wasn't doing anything with it for a while still. Was maybe still setting up the reactor. So these are his first 2 medevacs on the way. So he can't keep stimming for the moment. Just catch an observer of MaxPax there. Nice spot and a nice scan to remove it. And force MaxPax to pay that little bit extra to keep on picking up the vision. As he's just trying to utilize these Stalkers effectively as he can. But he will lose one. Still bring some libs into play. Looks like we're going to dive for this SOS. Wants to get rid of the first Liberator at least. Now backs away. That is nicely handled. Just going to be seeing additional Stalkers coming through again as well. Pushing down this left-hand side. Stalkers show up. Just putting some damage onto the Phoenix. Phoenix going to come on through. Those Vikings in some trouble. A Stalker already getting lifted up. I mean, this is going to be the attempt to defend right now. The Liberator, I think, might be getting rid of too much of the anti-air. The Phoenix go for a mass lift on anything and everything. As Maru's supply is struggling a little bit, and his last 3 Marauders are going down. His SCVs pulled into this fight too. Will not last forever. They are going down also. And MaxPax is going to come on forward and I'll push that CC of Maru away. So Maru is knocked down at 1 base. The carry of the Maru and SOS team might be the carried this time around, as SOS will have to put in some work with these Phoenix. Maru's supply is struggling now. He's still got some stuff to work with here, and he will be using it as part of this defense right now. But if he chases those Stalkers, there's a tank from souL down here. He will get on top of that. The Phoenix is not able to justify the lifts on the Marauders, etc. But they are going to get rid of the tanks. I mean, honestly, they're doing a very good job of trading this out. And a lot of decent trades on the board and just getting a lot of free pickups toward the end of some of these fights. DT slipped out of the way, hiding off to the side as other DT showing up as well. So now DT is trying to be just very annoying. He's actually going to go back in this side, and I kind of like this. Going to shut down the Stargate, so all of a sudden we're talking about SOS, who has no detection, Maru, who only has scans off of, well, I guess 2 bases because the other one landed again, but These GTs are definitely causing a lot more issues than initially bargained for. As Maru cannot scan right now, he loses the siege tank over here. At least we can get these Stargates online. The Oracles will come up and they can Revelate, but even Revelation isn't a brilliant answer because it's on a timer, right? And so you've got to keep refreshing that, and you can only cast so many. It's can be frustrating. Of course, that combined with Maru's scans should be plenty to truly deal with the most of this. 2 medevacs of Maru load up, and I'm going to go across the map escorted by Phoenix, so looking to try and put some kind of pressure of their own on, but it is MaxPax and souL for the first time in what feels like forever actually putting themselves in the better position early, taking the taking the initiative really, and just saying, hey, you know, we want this game to look a bit like this, and being successful with it too. We've seen some earlier attacks from them, and they've not all worked out. Those Phoenix are escaping away to the upper right hand side of the map, so away they will go. I mean, obviously the drop from Maru stopped to pick off the pylon that was warping in a couple more DTs. Now it's going to get over here a second time over. Aiming for a drop into that base. Like I say though, the Phoenix are here to support, so they can lift up these Stalkers. Yeah, there's still a missile turret. I think we're going to drop in anyway though. Phoenix is going to tank the missile turret a little bit. Like I say, you lift up the Stalkers, they get taken out of the equation. More Stalkers showing up. The Vikings too, actually. This might be a decent trade for MaxPax and souL, as SOS is losing a lot of the Phoenix. The Bio Army doesn't seem to be doing that much. The Vikings are having a field day. And uh-oh, those medevacs are boosting. They will get the distance between themselves and the Vikings to be out of there safely. Medevacs actually got caught though. They continue to be chased. The Vikings were able to find them. Maru and SOS both struggling on supply this game, and souL and MaxPax are seemingly able to find the damage that's being needed, put themselves into a very decent position. Here comes this blue force out through the center of the map. Phoenix are counterattacking. They just won't care about that. MaxPax and souL. They just want to continue across and put some further pressure on right. Get over here and kill off the this base, basically. Or get into a position to take a fight, because they truly believe that their army is going to be that much stronger right now. A single stasis sets off, a single zealot sets off the stasis ward ahead of time. So dealing with that defensive structure already, and the Vikings are just going to kill the Voids so quickly. The Voids don't stand much of a chance here, unfortunately. The Phoenix do lift the tanks, and they're getting targeted down pretty quickly as well, so the Phoenix are going to have to drop those tanks back down. They'll do a lot of damage. Maru, GG, and out of here. SOS is waiting for MaxPax to GG, maybe. Finally types GG. SOS, what we doing? No ABM? Well played? Okay. GG, well played, says SOS, as MaxPax and souL do take the final map of this 5-game series that the two of them played. That was a fun 2